The restaurant buzzed softly under the dim golden lights of a Berlin evening. Rain tapped the wide windows as guests dined in elegance. Businessmen in suits, travelers with weary smiles, and a young waitress named Emma, weaving gracefully between tables with a tired but genuine smile. She wasn't just serving tonight. She was saving. Every euro mattered. Her little brother needed surgery, and Emma had promised herself she'd find a way. At table 7 sat a man who looked like he owned the place. Alexander Roth, 42, a billionaire tech investor visiting from London, impeccably dressed in a navy suit, gold watch glinting, and the kind of confidence that filled the room before he even spoke. He didn't look at people. He looked through them. When Emma approached with her notepad, he didn't bother raising his eyes. "Good evening, sir. Would you like to start with something to drink?" she asked politely. He smirked, finally glancing up. "Wasser, but try not to spill it this time." His tone was cutting, and the couple at the next table looked up awkwardly. Emma froze for half a second, then smiled softly and turned away. She was used to arrogance. It rolled off her like rain on glass. But as she walked away, Alexander leaned toward his friend and said in German, assuming the waitress wouldn't understand, "Can you imagine? Serving tables all her life. People like her don't even dream big. They just exist." His friend chuckled quietly. Emma returned with the water, her expression calm. She placed it on the table and replied, perfectly, in fluent German. "Actually, I do dream big. Some of us just start with smaller steps." The billionaire's smile vanished. He blinked, stunned that she'd understood every word. His friend cleared his throat. "You speak German?" Emma nodded politely. "I study linguistics. 4 languages so far? This job helps me pay for university." Alexander's face reddened slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. "Impressive," he said coolly, trying to sound unfazed. "But I suppose tips don't cover tuition that well, do they?" Emma met his gaze and calm, kind, unshaken. "Not always, but kindness does." He didn't reply. For the first time, someone had answered his arrogance not with anger, but with grace, and that silence felt heavier than any insult. An hour later, a sudden commotion broke the hum of the restaurant. A woman at table 4, an elderly guest, collapsed, gasping for air. Before anyone could react, Emma was already there, kneeling beside her, speaking gently in German and checking her pulse. "Call an ambulance," she shouted. She performed CPR with steady hands until paramedics arrived, staying beside the woman the whole time. The entire restaurant fell silent, watching as Emma, the waitress he'd mocked, comforted the woman's terrified husband, holding his hand until help came. When it was over, she quietly went back to clearing plates, her face pale but composed. Alexander sat still, words caught in his throat. He saw her differently now, not as a server, but as a person with courage, compassion, and strength he couldn't buy with all his billions. When his check came, he signed it silently, but before leaving, he placed an envelope beside it. Inside was $10,000 and a note. "For your brother's surgery. You reminded me what real worth looks like. Alexander Roth." Emma's eyes widened as she read it. She looked up, but he was already gone, standing outside in the rain, his reflection blurry in the glass. For the first time in years, Alexander felt small and grateful. Weeks later, Emma sent a simple message to his office. "My brother's recovering well. Thank you for helping when you didn't have to. I hope someday I can return the kindness." He read the message twice and smiled softly. For once, he didn't feel like the richest man in the room, just a man who'd finally learned the value of humanity. 3 months later, the Berlin restaurant was quieter than usual. Emma still worked double shifts, though her brother, Lucas, was finally recovering at home. Each morning he sent her little drawings, rockets, stars, hearts, and wrote, "Danke, big sis," crayon. Emma cherished those notes more than anything. But that evening, she noticed something unusual. The manager was beaming, nervously adjusting his tie. "Big investor coming tonight," he whispered. "Be on your best behavior. This deal could change everything." Emma nodded, tightening her apron. At 8:00 sharp, the door opened, and in walked Alexander Roth, this time without the expensive entourage. Just him, simpler suit, no arrogance in his posture. He looked human. Emma froze for a moment. Their eyes met, and instead of mockery, he offered a genuine, almost shy smile. "Good evening, Miss Emma," he said softly, in German this time. "Good evening, Mr. Roth," she replied, her tone warm but professional. As the dinner went on, Alexander kept glancing her way, not with superiority, but curiosity, even admiration. He watched the way she treated each guest with patience and dignity, even when they were rude. After dessert, he asked quietly, "May I speak with you for a moment?" Emma hesitated, then nodded. They stepped outside where the rain was falling gently again, as if the sky remembered them. "I owe you an apology," Alexander began. "Not for what I said that night, but for what I thought. I saw you through a lens of pride. I was wrong." Emma smiled faintly. "You already helped more than you know. Lucas is healing. You gave him that chance." He exhaled, eyes soft. "Then maybe it's time I give you another." The next week, Emma received a letter, this time an official one. It was from the Roth Foundation for Social Impact, offering her a full scholarship to complete her linguistics degree and a position afterward as a language consultant for their global outreach program. Tears blurred her vision as she read. She whispered to herself, "Kindness always finds its way back." 6 months later, London headquarters. Emma walked into the sleek glass building overlooking the Thames. She wore a tailored suit, her hair neatly tied, confidence in her step. Employees greeted her warmly. "Good morning, Miss Becker." And waiting in the conference room was Alexander, standing by the window, a proud smile on his face. "You look different," he said. Emma laughed lightly. "Maybe just standing a little taller." He nodded. "You earned it. You reminded me that success without empathy is just noise." As months passed, Emma's ideas helped reshape the company's image. Alexander launched new projects supporting underprivileged students worldwide, inspired by her story. Reporters called it the Roth Redemption Initiative. During one press conference, a journalist asked Emma, "Do you believe people can truly change?" She paused, looked at Alexander, then back at the cameras. "Yes," she said softly. "All it takes is one act of kindness to remind them who they really are." That night, as they left the office, Alexander said quietly, "You know, I thought I was helping you that day in Berlin. But now I see. It was you who helped me." Emma smiled. Life has a funny way of teaching us humility. They walked into the London evening, no longer Waitress and Billionaire, but two people who had learned that compassion can rewrite any story.